Zach Rose. I'm your host. Josh Shader's not here. He's working hard, getting things ready for the upcoming school year. But we do have two very incredible guests in here today who I have very much enjoyed getting to know more and more this summer. We've got Mr. James Renshaw and Mr. Parker Henry. I did get your last name right.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we're super excited to dive into this. Summer has been great. I know for you guys, been at the church, working hard, serving students this summer, and super excited to dive into that and your own personal testimonies and stories. So, James, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what church you serve at, and kind of give us an overview of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in North Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised, went to church there, went to the same church all my life. Went to the North Little Rock public schools through 6th grade, and then in 7th grade, my family moved me over to Baptist Prep. It was called Arkansas Baptist High School. Then my sophomore year, they changed the name, and we got a way cooler logo, so we were all okay with it. But did school over there. Ended up going to college at Ouachita Baptist University, where Parker's at now. Got a business degree, but then about halfway through my junior year, felt called to do ministry. So didn't really know what all that meant, but ended up doing seminary and I've been living up in Kansas City for the past 3.5 years. And then graduated this past December. In January, moved back and got a job with my home church that I grew up at. And now I'm the youth pastor. So it's been a lot of fun. It's the youth group I grew up in, and a lot of the same leaders that helped raise me in the faith. So just being back in, working with a lot of the same families has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. How was that for you? The moment for you where you felt like, or just the time in general where you felt like you were called into ministry, what did that look like for you? Was that like a singular moment where God spoke to you, or was that more of a gradual, I'm really passionate about this and I love students and I think this is where I should be? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I know my junior year, like I just kind of this mind of like, man, God, am I being called to do business? Like, what is your calling on my life? And I was actually speaking at an event for high schoolers at Ouachita. And it was funny. It was a guy, he asked me the question, like, what kind of leadership positions am I in on campus? And I ended up getting to know that guy when he ended up coming to Ouachita, which is a fun story. But he asked me, and I gave a lot of answers, and all those answers were all like ministry related. Like I served with campus ministries. I served at a church on part-time staff. I was a chaplain of a fraternity social club they had on campus. Just so doing a lot of ministry. And it was later that night, I was kind of in deep thought. I was like, man, I think that's something I would just love to do truly for the rest of my life, and not really worry about financials or social status. I was like, man, I just feel like that's what the Lord has in store. And so it was kind of like that moment that night, but looking on just how God used my story, especially throughout college, I think it was kind of a gradual decision too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Parker, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up? I'm good.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to school, what sports you play, and anything else that people need to know here.
Okay. So my name is Parker Henry. I'm originally from Southwest Oklahoma. I spent most of my life in a town called Lawton. I moved out to a smaller town called Geronimo whenever I was a little older.
Geronimo. How do you spell that, Geronimo?
Geronimo, like the Indian, like the Indian guy. I grew up in Geronimo and Lawton. I became a Christian later in my life. I started going to church consistently, and I got baptized when I was a junior in high school. I wrestled. I started wrestling a little bit later in life. I started wrestling in 8th grade, and then that kind of drove a lot of my life. A lot of my decisions, my big decisions in life. It's what got me into college. I'm wrestling now at Ouachita Baptist University, where James went. I'm going into my senior year there. I have a few years of eligibility left. I'm planning on going to grad school for counseling psychology. I really want to do therapy and specifically sports psychology one day. That's a big goal of mine. What led me to kind of develop that idea and why I feel called to do that is my senior year, I had a really good wrestling year. I only had one loss going into the state tournament. And then I kind of just poop the bucket, you know. Kind of had like I had 2 of my 3 losses at the state tournament, and I was supposed to win it, and I got 4th. And I was just really, really down in the dumps for a while, and it was really hard for me. It was probably like the biggest loss in my life up to that point, and which is a blessing, to be honest. But I came out of that, like, I spent a little bit of time in that low spot, and I was like, man, this sucks. I don't want people to go through this. I want to help people with that. And so that's kind of what has been my driving force for wanting to do sports psychology and therapy. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to finish out this senior year, and then I'm going to go find a place to go to grad school and then wrestle there too, finish out my eligibility.
Awesome. That's so cool. I love hearing how the Lord uses moments or times to kind of reveal something in your heart that He's given you giftings and different passions for. But tell us, I mean, for a young athlete who's listening to this, hearing that story, hearing you who were a top wrestler fall on the biggest stage, what did that time look like for you? I mean, obviously there's more to it than just kind of like, well, it's a blessing now, but like, explain some of that pain and that heartache that led to God kind of being revealed through your testimony and story.
Like kind of like in the moment,
yeah,
how I felt.
Yeah.
And okay, so I think my senior year, I spent a lot of time thinking that like I was really good. I spent a lot of time thinking that like this is what I'm supposed to do. Like this is kind of like the pinnacle of like my high school career. And I think a lot of athletes think that way. Like they think that their time in high school is really just kind of like capped off by their athletic career, especially, I mean, just for athletes. I mean, it's just what we do. It's what we spend so much of our time doing. It's what we sacrifice a lot for, especially in the combat sports. Like, it's very grueling. You put your body through so much. You put your mind through so much. It's hard. You fight every day. You get beat up every day. You cut weight. It's tough. And so you commit all this time and all this effort. And so, like, logically, all this emotional, like, weight and all this expectation follows. And then if you're not careful, what happened to me was I had all this expectation from the people around me pouring in. So a little bit about that is my junior year, I was a state placer. I got 4th in Oklahoma, which it's not great, but like that was my accomplishment, and that's, you know, where I climbed up to get and to achieve. But I had all this pressure of like everyone expected me to win a state title, and everybody was telling me that it was just going to happen, right? And so I had all this external expectation of like, hey, it's just going to happen. Hey, it's just going to be like put into my hands. And so it's not going to be that hard. And so I got to the state tournament after a really long year. This was the first year that I battled injuries. I split my face open at one point, got stitches, had to sit out for a while. I was dealing with like skin issues, because in wrestling there's like a lot of, you can get skin infections if you're not careful. I messed up my hamstring, and so I spent a lot of time out for the first time ever in my career. And then I didn't do a good job of handling the emotions, right? And looking back now, I can say a lot of things about that moment that I just didn't know, just because I was young. Just with how I handled those expectations and handled the emotions and whatnot. But at the state tournament, I was finally healthy enough to wrestle. I won my regional. I whooped everybody, and then I got to the state tournament, and I had all this expectation. I was like, this is it. I'm finally going to win my state title. I didn't think about my matches. I didn't think about wrestling hard. All I thought about was like getting my hand raised at the end of the tournament. I only thought about that medal. And then my first match, I got upset by a dude that I whooped like earlier in the year. Or, well, I never like wrestled this kid like head to head, but I had whooped people that had whooped him. And so I just kind of thought that I was just going to whoop him. And then I got beat, and then I was crushed after that. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And so looking back now, I had so much of my like own internal value caught up in the sport of wrestling and in my success. And so whenever I got beat, it was really, really hard. It was like I felt like I failed myself, first of all, and then second of all, I felt like I failed all the people around me that loved me. I felt like the way that people loved me, I felt like it correlated to my wrestling and to my performance. And so whenever I lost, it was hard. It felt like I had like just like a knife in my heart. I went and cried. I went and like busted down this door, and so we wrestled in this arena called the Gym to Work Arena, and so half of it was closed for like renovations my senior year, which was 2023. So I run off. I jump over this like guardrail that said like do not cross, like construction. There was this like lady yelling after me, and I can't remember what I said. It wasn't good words. I kick down this bathroom door, and I just go, and I'm still in like my singlet. I don't know if y'all know what a singlet is. It's like a leotard kind of thing type of. And so I'm only in my singlet. I don't have my phone. I don't have my bag. I don't have any clothes. All I have is this. I bust down this door, and I just start bawling. I bawled for like an hour. I was just crying so hard in this old, dusty, crusty shower. And then it took, I don't even know who found me. Somebody on my team eventually found me and was like, bro, what are you doing? You're not out of the tournament yet. You got to lock back in. And then, yeah, it was rough. I wrestled back. I recovered from that. Well, I didn't really recover. It was still really hard. In my head, I had lost. It was just like I didn't win my state title. Like I already lost. Like what am I even here for? I go and I wrestle, and I find myself in the 3rd and 4th place match after almost getting beat on the backside. I was terrified of going 2-0 at the state tournament. Like that would have been so embarrassing, and it would have been awful. And then I'm in the 3rd and 4th, and then I get beat there. And that's whenever I really broke down. After that, I went and found that same old crusty shower, and I cried in that. And I had my phone and stuff with me that time. And then my coach found me at that point, Coach Miller. Shout out, Coach Miller, if you ever hear this. You're the best. He found me at some point, and we were talking. And then he told me that he was going to love me regardless of how I performed or whatnot. Like, it didn't matter if I won, lost, draw, tied. Like, he would love me, and he just wanted the best for me, and he would always put that pressure on me to help me try to be the best. And yeah, that in that moment, like, it was really good, like what he said, but I didn't appreciate or understand what he was saying. And so, yeah, I was really hard. It was really hard, and I was really broken for a while after that. And it took a long time for me to like even feel like I was even able to like pray again, which is so dumb considering it's like a sport, it's a game. And it took a long time for me to get back to the point where I would pray and I would come to the Lord.
Yeah. So experiencing that time and that season, when do you feel like things shifted for you in terms of like seeing how the Lord used that as an opportunity to grow you and stretch you, like experiencing some like really tough pain? Mm-hmm. Like we say it's a sport and we say it's a game, but it really does mean more. Mm-hmm. What did that look like for you in the process of God kind of restoring you in that?
Like the time frame, kind of?
Yeah. Just like what did you experience after those moments and mm-hmm. kind of being, renewed in your relationship with the Lord in a sense?
Yeah. It took some time. It probably was a month and a half or 2 months before I even had like the mental capacity or emotional capacity to really sit and think about it. And that's whenever I really did sit and start to think about it. It was about 2 months out, 1 month and a half out. My grandmother was a really big teacher and hero in my faith, and so she's the one who really brought me to the faith. And so there was one time that she gave me this like little picture. I keep it in my wallet. It was a picture of like me on the podium, and then she wrote on the back of it in cursive. I can't remember the verse. It was one of the Psalms, one of the short Psalms, and then she was like, "You're not chained by your losses," or something like that. Like your losses don't define you. You're not chained by your losses. Like the past can't hold you. And then that wasn't really like a defining moment, but that was one of the big moments that I remember that helped me get over the hump of like, hey, this, like I lost, it happened, it's in the past, like I have to move forward. And then that with, growing in my faith, at this point, like I was still going to church, but I wasn't like going like super consistently, and like it wasn't that, I don't really think I had like backslidden in my faith. I was just really kind of just still sad. I didn't even really leave my house really those first month and a half, 2 months after the state tournament. And so I think right around that point is whenever I was like, man, like I have to get up. I have to move on. And then that's whenever the thoughts of like, Lord, what can I do to like redeem this moment, or what can I do to help people, or what can I do for like me, myself, to feel better? And that's whenever I finally got the idea of like, hey, like there is a field like solely related to like sports psychology and like the hard parts and the good parts associated with sport, and you can help so many people there. And so I would say that's just like a pretty simple overview of that process.
I think like what you're saying too, it's so important that other athletes hear a story like that, because like you said, it's not like you backslid in your faith necessarily. You just had a moment where you realized that maybe your priorities and alignment was a little bit off. And I think that's sometimes where we get caught, is we get caught in the middle, not always at the very bottom. It's like I've been working towards this thing, and honestly, it's probably been a little bit above where God is in my life, and it's probably been a little bit above this relationship, but honestly, it's kind of pretty close. And it's like we kind of weigh these things until it becomes that moment where that thing falls out from under you, and it's like, okay, where do I stand now? So that's so cool, man. Like, obviously that's difficult, but cool how the Lord can use that to then bring a passion out of you to want to pursue that as a career. And I know that will be so important as you go on. I have those stories myself. I know James has those stories too of just times and moments that God uses to be able to strengthen us in the future. Maybe we fall on our face for a moment, but it's kind of a humbling moment to experience the Lord and his realigning of us in a way. James, I know you've got maybe not a similar story, but a testimony the same way too. When you shared this, I remember you got the chance to speak at Sylvan Hills Junior High for our FCA huddle there, and I remember hearing this story, and I was just mind blown by your testimony, and even in the sports world, kind of how that all has happened. So would you mind maybe sharing a little bit of your testimony and story of some of the things that you faced in sports too?
So I'll kind of start off when I was in 6th grade, still going to North Little Rock. I was at a school called Poplar Street, which right now is a hollow, probably really hot building. But the North Little Rock varsity baseball team had a hitting instructor. His name was Joe Caruso. He was coming from Memphis, Tennessee. They asked if he would be there, kind of just come every other Wednesday night and hit, like teach them how to hit. And then for whatever reason, I've been about 6'5", size 15 shoes since 6th grade. So I've just been this massive individual who did not know how to control my body at 6th grade. But they asked me to kind of be a guinea pig to go hit with the North Little Rock baseball team with this hitting instructor, and really they were trying to see if they could start training up young guys as they grew up and potentially made the team as they were older. So I get there the very first night, and this guy's his name's Joe, just utterly jacked. And he has a kind of assistant. He's like also jacked. I think he was a firefighter. I remember they chugged a Red Bull before we hit the cages. And inside the cages, I was like blown away. I was like, they know everything about baseball and the swing and everything. And afterwards, we all got in a huddle, just all circled up before we were going to be dismissed. And he went around and he shared his own testimony. He played baseball at Alabama, hit rock bottom one point. Baseball player invited him to church. He got saved. And he went around our circle and asked each of us if we had read our Bible that day. And this is, public school. Like, people are like, no. But even the Christians, like myself in the circle, were like, no. So we would hit with him every other Wednesday night, pretty late at like 9 or 10 p.m. And he would always ask that question. And for me, that was a big, simple question that helped change my life, because I was like, man, I need to actually take him up on that challenge, start reading my Bible. I didn't really know where to start, know how. I had a great church that was helping me, but just that one baseball coach with that challenge. So that, he really helped me grow my faith just kind of in a more personal manner. And then I remember about 2 years in, there was one evening where he went around the circle and asked that same question, and every single guy in the circle was able to give an answer. And not only give an answer, but then talk about how what they've been reading throughout the multiple weeks was having an impact on their life. And this was Christians like myself. This was non-Christians, good homes, broken homes. So that little moment in 6th grade helped me grow my faith. And then kind of going into the story that you've heard before is my junior year of high school was when I hit a rock bottom, kind of like some form of what Parker was talking about. I kind of made basketball my idol. Basketball was a big thing. When I moved to Baptist Prep in 7th grade, they asked me to start practicing with the varsity team there. I wasn't any form of a stellar athlete. I think I was just big, so people were excited. But my 7th grade year, the varsity team lost like first rounds of districts. Weren't good. 8th grade year, we got a new head coach, and he was really legit. His name was Coach Brian Ross. Shout out if he'd ever listened. But he was legit and won Best Coach of the Year, I think, multiple times. And then my sophomore year, we won state, which was like the kind of what you're talking about, the peak. It was like what we had been aiming for. It was like a dream come true, a really big moment, tons of excitement. So then my junior year, I was like, man, we got a lot of the same players. I was like, let's just go back to back. So basketball quickly became priority in life. It's kind of stopped reading my Bible. I don't know how often I went to youth group, which is funny because this is now the youth group I lead. But it was in October on a Wednesday night. I was at youth, and we were doing a game. It was these giant blow-up balls you can get into and like bounce around against other people. It was me and another guy. We were going to see who can knock each other down, best 2 out of 3. I knocked him down the first time. He knocked me down the third time. And the third time they decided, it was like the championship, whatever, they put a GoPro on his head to film it. And we went, and our heads accidentally stuck out, and we headbutted at full speed, and I shattered the left side of my skull. And my dad, he's a physical therapist. He was filming, and he would never take me to the hospital. Like, he always was like, if it's broken, we'll just throw some tape on it, you'll be fine. So that time he came over, and my skin was kind of hanging down, not to get completely graphic. And he was like, we're going to the hospital right now. So I won't go into all the details, but they ended up cutting me open ear to ear. I had brain surgery and some form of plastic surgery. And the left side of my skull in the front is a titanium plate with 13 screws. And what was hard about that was I was like, man, basketball was that big commitment in my life at that moment. And I was waking up at like about 5:30 a.m. I would work out with the trainer at 6 a.m. I would go, after I worked out with him, run a mile at school, then go to the weight room with my team. After school, we'd have practice, go home, do homework, go to bed, repeat. So I was just getting burned out, and it really wasn't healthy either. But Jesus was not in the center of my life at that point. And the kind of, what's the phrase, the nail on the coffin? I don't know where I'm looking. I had a classmate, a close friend of mine, pass away about 2 months after that injury. And Baptist Prep, smaller school. I graduated with 56 people. We were all very close. So to have a classmate pass away was just very, very hard. It was very unexpected. So I kind of hit a rock bottom. And what I tell people, what ended up helping me was teachers who helped me and made sure I was okay. There was one Sunday where I drove to school and for a whole afternoon just sat and talked with our athletic director, who's a close, good mentor in my life, and just kind of talked and shared all the difficulties of life. And Sunday school teachers, family, friends, like it was other people who really helped me. But at the center of it was everyone was saying like, hey, how is your relationship with Jesus right now? Like, what is your priority? Like, what are you building your life on? And that ended up shifting. I was like, man, I need to just get back into the Word and get back in my walk and just get back in church. And then in the Lord's humor, he put me to the test my senior year. So we ended up winning a state championship my junior year. So we're back to back. Senior year, I am captain of the team. We lost some good players, but I was like, hey, I believe we can do it. First game of the year, we were playing Conway at home, which we were 4A, they were 7A, so it was a bit back when they had a bit of a jump. Yeah, back when they had 7A. I don't know if they have that anymore. But home game, we were beating them. I believe we were up by 14 with 4 minutes left in the game. I dove for a ball out of bounds and hit a door frame and cracked the right side of my skull. This is less. Yeah, I didn't know that. This is less than a year later. So I'm sitting there. It's funny. That time, my dad didn't want to take me to the hospital. He knows my dad really well because he's been doing physical therapy.
Shout out, Bill.
But he was like, "Nah." I was like, "We need to go get an X-ray," and we did. And sure enough, it was cracked. And that one didn't require surgery. They just let it heal on its own. But I was like, man, God, like less than a year later, I'm right back to being injured. And when you hurt your skull, like it's not like, you know, you break a wrist. Like I really couldn't do a lot of physical activity.
Did you have to sit out that whole year?
No, so I sat out 6 weeks. Probably should have sat out 8.
Man.
So when I broke my head the first time, I had to wear a mask when I came back to playing. So I got known as the mask.
Is that what you call it? You just broke your head? Man.
Yeah. So I wore this mask, had to wear a headband. They called me the mask. It was hot and sweaty, super ugly, looked horrible. I did not. Everyone thought it was cool. I did not think it was cool because every time we had a timeout, I would take it off and just like get rid of all the sweat underneath. And I had acne. It was horrible. So then my senior year, they just pitched it as the mask returns. But I had to sit out.
That Batman quote.
Yeah. So I had to sit out a good bit. And we actually had a lot of players get injured during that season. And when I compared the first time I injured my skull versus the second, I just had way more joy and way more just kind of looking at it like, okay, God, like, how are you using this in my life? What are you trying to teach me? And really a lot of it for me was just joy in the midst of pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. And also, I was watching the Mexico soccer game versus England last night with a bunch of friends.
I'm glad you brought this up. We'll talk about this more in a second. Yeah.
I was watching it with 3 guys who are from Mexico, and I could tell, I was like, man, if they lose, which they did, I was like, the rest of the week, they were going to be in bad moods. And for me, especially my senior year, I was like, man, 2 state championships in, hoping to get a 3rd. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is a sports game. Like, this is a game where we're just having fun. Like, tons of what you're talking about. It is more than a game. Like, there's a lot of life you can live and learn from it. But for me, my senior year, I was like, man, I just want to have fun with my guys. Mm-hmm. I think we had probably about 8 seniors that were all on the team. We all graduated together. And we had been through this, you know, when you go through state championships and we were traveling, doing all kinds of stuff with our team, you know, you just get to know them super well. So I was like, man, I just want to live and spend time with these guys. And then also, I was team captain, so I had to figure out how to lead from a point where I wasn't in the spotlight and I wasn't the one calling the play or down low. They called me the general down low because I was on the block down low, so I could see the court way better. So I usually could call out. I was very loud down low. So anyway,
as every big man should be.
I agree. And when they're not,
speaking from a guard's perspective, I appreciate a loud big man.
No, I was the loudest guy on the floor, and it was just because I could see things other people couldn't from my perspective. But it was cool, like looking back on my own story, like going through that pain and suffering without walking with God, and then going through almost the exact same thing, walking with God. It was night and day difference, which from a Christian perspective to the world makes no sense, but walking with Jesus really does. And then we ended up, just to drop this in there, we ended up winning state my senior year. Man. And that was, that one, three-peat. That one was a really big blessing. And the first 2 times we won, I kind of, in my own life, gave it to other people, like wanted to dedicate games to certain. And that one, I was like, man, I'm really going to just give this one to God and be like, this is all for His glory and His purpose. And we whooped, I won't say what team, but we beat them by a lot. And that moment for me where I almost got emotional was a lot of our seniors who weren't starters, didn't really see the court that much, but had been with us through this journey, got to play a good portion of that game at the end. And for them, who hardly ever get to play, step in Hot Springs at the state championship game, that made the world to me, seeing them get rewarded for all their hard work on the side.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's so cool. Storybook ending to like crazy circumstances. Like, that's no joke. You don't hear that every day. Those are very significant injuries, and praise the Lord that, like, I mean, it's a blessing today that you are here and present. Those are very significant. I remember you were telling that, and I just remember looking at some of the junior hires' faces in there like, oh my gosh.
I think I went into more details on the surgery for the purpose of
somebody pass out with that surgery description.
So Parker's one of our interns at church, and I had some of the other interns at my parents' house, and one of our interns cannot handle any form of core, and she almost passed out, pass out.
Yeah, I can understand. You get a little queasy imagining that. That's crazy. I shouldn't ask this maybe, but does your dad still have the video?
He does. I still have it. We never the GoPro video.
I never want to watch it. Oh yeah,
but
GoPro.
It was like it just wasn't good. It was like
just like inside your skull.
Just my head butted. It just was black, and so it was like nothing cool. But yeah, we have the actual video of when I can show you after the podcast.
Yeah, insert like a Jimmy Neutron into his brain. That's crazy. Yeah. Oh boy. That's so cool, man. I say it's cool because I love seeing how God uses circumstances, especially through sports. Mm-hmm. And like I serve with FCA, so that means we get the opportunity to see similar things happen through sports all the time. The impact that a coach and a teacher can have on a student is limitless.
Absolutely.
Just to be able to speak into those individuals' lives, to be with them day in and day out, and encourage them through some of their most difficult moments up to that point, because a lot of times we don't always know, and I say this because I've had teammates and friends who have dealt with similar things of like, man, maybe it's that your home life isn't so great. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's that you've been dealing with injuries, you've been dealing with things that are out of your control, but you still have the opportunity to respond to that in a way. And it's encouraging for me to hear your story, James, from the first time you got injured to the second time you got injured, the switch that happened there of it wasn't that it was any less like crappy than the last time. It was just that the heart posture changed in it.
It's different, yeah.
And I'm sure that like is a part of what you get to do now, serving with youth too. Yes. Not to just share that story over and over and over again, but to live and walk out the goodness of God through the things that you've experienced too. We'll jump back into that in a second. You talked about the World Cup, and it piqued my interest. Have you guys been watching the World Cup?
I'm not a soccer guy.
Okay.
I've been trying to. I'm like USA all the way. I know Dickie Stevens tonight. They're opening it up for free. So I'm going to go with some people and go watch it. Yeah.
I saw that, and I was like, I have a hard time, I'm going to be honest. I've been following the U.S. men's national team. I played a year of college soccer. I can say I was a collegiate athlete. I walked onto a team, fifth-string goalkeeper. That's a different story for a different day. But I love soccer, and I've been following this team for years now. And they didn't qualify for a World Cup. Not last time, but the time before that. Was so disappointing. Was heartbroken, but I faithfully have followed them since. And it's so fun and funny to me seeing everyone, like, obviously it's not a bandwagon because we live in the U.S. It's just like soccer's not always our main sport. But getting to see people jump on it, it is exciting. With that being said, I'm someone who kind of just has to watch the games by myself because I get a little heated. And I've really been working on, my wife has really just been, she has been just working on my heart, and God has been too, because there's times where I can just flip out and say some unnecessary things, not inappropriate, but just a little bit on the edge of like, this is just a game, Zach. All that to say, the Mexico-England game last night was incredible.
It was a
Mexico
game.
City was bumping.
It was.
And to see how much we've talked about the World Cup the last couple episodes, that's why I bring this up again, but to see how different cultures engage with a game that like a lot of us don't even fully understand is incredible.
Oh, yes.
Like, it gives a whole new perspective to sport and the gravity that sports can bring. That's why I think it's so important that we have people like what you're doing, Parker, where the mental aspect of that, that's one thing you notice when you're watching a game or a team. I was watching as the Mexican players on the field, you could almost see they were starting to lose hope as if you didn't watch the game, you need to go back and watch it. I recorded it because it was so good because I wanted to go to bed and finished it this morning. But you could see as they started to lose hope in their eyes of like, as one of the England players got a red card and they were down to 10 men. If you didn't know, that's how it works in soccer. If your guy gets a red card, he's out of the game, so you play with one less player. England was on the ropes the entire second half of the game. They had the lead, and Mexico kept doing the same thing over and over and over again and just could not score a goal. And literally, I just was sitting there like, they've already lost the game in their heads and their hearts because their body posture was just like, they were sagging out there. They saw that like England wanted it more than them in a way. But I just thought that was a cool example of kind of the field that you're in, of like the psychology of it, seeing how even in their home stadium, even up a man, even like just with all the circumstances and the way that they were already defeated in their heads in a way, because England came with a different kind of level and energy.
Yeah. And England played defense for probably 40 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And Mexico still could not score.
Wow.
And they tie that to like people, culture, like this, like who we are. And even in that moment, I was like, man, it is a sports game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it carries so much weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I had like a stadium, 90,000 people, so yeah.
Yeah. It was incredible. The game was incredible. The U.S. plays tonight. Flo Balogun's playing. Take that red card on out of here.
Yeah.
That's a different topic for a different day. I'll get too amped up if I start talking about it. But, thank you for sharing your individual stories. How has this summer been for you guys? Parker, you're interning under James.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just go ahead and establish that.
Yep, he's my boss.
He is your boss. What have you guys been up to this summer? In the summer, what does it look like engaging with students, and what kind of fun have you guys been up to?
Yeah.
I think we've been up to a lot of really fun, cool things. This is my first time ever working in like a ministry position, and really being like behind the scenes at a church. Like I've volunteered at places before, so I've just never known like the amount of hard work and like planning and logistics that it takes to make like it possible for kids to have fun or for like something to run smoothly. And so it's been cool. It's been interesting. It's been kind of hard. Like this isn't the kind of work that I'm used to. Like I'm used to just working really hard with my hands and just putting my head down and just going. But I've been forced to have to like think more, because I have to consider like what kids will think is fun, or planning with people at the church and stuff like that. Getting things done on time that isn't like a physical like manual labor. And so it's been really cool. But I think other than that, I think the kids have been having a great time. I think I don't know, I don't want to speak for them, but I think a lot of the kids like thought the idea of there being like an intern was cool. We've been able to do like a pool party. We've been able to play a lot of really fun games and just be like fun and competitive. And I don't know, I love pouring back into kids, I think it's really cool. Especially since like I didn't do the church thing when I was young and I was their age, so like I didn't experience what they experienced. And so like I think it's so interesting observing like how they're like how they're growing. And like I'm only here for a little bit of time, like I'm not going to see them like grow like how James is, but even like the little window that I get to see them grow, I think it's very intriguing to see like their faith grow, or like their personal journeys grow with the Lord and their friends, and how they interact with like our ministry.
Yeah. So before the summer started, we walked through the book of Ruth. We did like Ruth has 4 chapters. We did 4 sermons in Ruth. I've been encouraged. We had one girl who got saved at camp a couple weeks ago, and part of the thing that was God wrestling in her heart was from the book of Ruth, which I won't go into much detail there from her story, but it was cool. Like there are things that she took away from Ruth that impacted, now that she's saved, I wouldn't have thought she would have been impacted by. And this summer we've been walking through kind of a series on spiritual disciplines. So we started with Bible reading. I shared some of what we even talked about here. We did stewardship, which we had a panel of leaders, which was really cool.
That was cool.
Parker's preaching this Wednesday night.
Let's go.
Yeah,
over prayer.
On prayer.
Everyone pop out.
Everyone listening right now. And then next week I'll preach on evangelism, and we'll get to follow up with that on a mission trip. We're going to New Orleans for a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Parker and I, another intern, some other adults, and a large group of kids. But we're partnering with New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, and they're going to do some evangelism training down there, do some cultural training even, and then in the mornings we're going to go do service projects, and then the afternoons they're just going to drop us off at town squares, Target, Walmart, and we're just going to go pray and practice sharing the gospel.
Wow.
Last year was the first time they did it before I was on staff, and I've heard incredible things about the kids actually going out and sharing the gospel. So I'm really excited. I mean, Parker and I have never been, but we're leaders.
As you say, you've never been to New Orleans?
I've been to New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've never been on this specific trip. So I'm excited to see just God really grow the students, just get them out of their comfort zone. And New Orleans, I think it's from right here, is 7 hours away, but it's very much a different culture. So it'll be cool for the kids to experience that. But other than like Parker and I playing basketball with the kids, or we've taken some of them out to lunch and hanging out at some of their houses with their parents and just like being in their life, like that's the thrill of ministry that I love. Is they say you got to be smelling like the sheep, like you got to be in their lives. Like sheep are very dirty.
I laugh because that's the second time he's quoted that today.
Oh really?
Yeah, you said that this morning.
Life of an intern.
Yeah. I see it my job to help shepherd the students as they really have a big period in their life when they're growing a lot. And I'm going to be like if I have to get super sweaty playing basketball before I preach, I see that as a big win.
And he doesn't care. I've seen him dunk on multiple children.
Yeah. I mean, it's the sports competitive stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They need to be humble, too.
Yeah. So, but no, just living life to life. That's the biggest blessing, and seeing the kids grow. And we went to summer camp at Super Summer, which is at Ouachita.
Yeah.
There was a junior high and senior high camp, both about 1,400 kids in each session, to see just the next generation praise and worship. And I know not everyone in the room's a believer, but to see those in the room who have put their faith in God, I mean, it's so encouraging to see the baton kind of get passed. Yeah,
that's so cool. I think you hit it on the head with like it's not even just the idea, it's the biblical perspective of walking life together, doing it together. I've been just kind of pondering on the thought of discipleship and what it really means to walk in discipleship with a spiritual leader and walk in discipleship with God. There's so many areas of like walking with Jesus and then walking together with others in the pursuit of Jesus. And you think about like Paul and Timothy, this idea of someone older, more mature than you in their faith and in life, stewarding you and walking with you through difficult journeys and battles. That was a big experience of me growing up in youth group, was people who had taken the time to relationally invest in me. And because they wanted to be in my life, I wanted to experience what they had also experienced in their relationship with Jesus, because I saw the fruit of it.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is so true when we get opportunities to hang out with students and be present with them. Like, man, like that's why you're so impactful to the students, because you and your demographic and age of people, I can't like speak it enough. Like high school students so very much look up to college age students. Junior high students, even more so, probably look up to college students. They all want to be cool. They all want to this and that, be cool in front of the college kid. That's, like, cool and awesome. But, like, at the end of the day, as you walk in obedience in that, like, lives can be changed because they see that it's not just the Parker show. It's like, no, bro, like, I really want to get to know you. Like, what's going on in your life?
I wish that I had enough time to get to know every single one of the kids in our youth, like, really well. Yeah. It's just hard. Just via time. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a part of it sometimes is, I know for me in the past, it's been the fear of, like, I don't have enough time to do what I really feel is on my heart in a way of, like, I'm limited in some of the things that I can do. And I think in my perspective, what I've learned in some of that is, like, give what you have today, understanding that you never know the impact or the heart change that the Lord can do instantly, or the seed that you can plant for someone else to then pick it up and continue with it too. Because I think sometimes that's the hard part. Like you're talking about, like not seeing the fruit of your labor in a way, but also the Bible does tell us that there's a process to harvesting and planting the seed. There's watering the seed. There's different people who do that at different times too. And it's cool to be a part of the process.
and it's going to be even greater someday when we get to heaven and the Lord says, Parker, this is what you were able to do as you followed me. Like, James, this is what you're able to do. Like, those are the things that encourage me in my walk, because I think it can be discouraging sometimes to like put so much effort into something and not see it come full circle. But I do also think that the Lord is so pleased in our efforts to give our best, even when we understand that like the end in sight isn't exactly what we ideally would want to see. So yeah, I'm so encouraged by you guys. We've got like 5 minutes left.
Oh man.
And I've got kind of a question here I've been pondering over the weekend. It was the 4th of July over the weekend, semi-quincentennial. Happy birthday, America. 250 years. And I saw this question out there that I just need to hear your guys' thoughts on. Two former athletes, I'm sure you've got quite the appetite and can put down some food. If there was, for some reason, an extraterrestrial presence pointing a laser beam at Earth, and you had to eat more hot dogs than said being. This is totally hypothetical. This is not a deep theological view. This is totally hypothetical. I found this on Instagram. This is not any part of our conversation that we were just having. Totally.
Can aliens be saved?
That's where I was going. How many hot dogs would you be able to eat to try and save the world? You're going up 1v1 versus said being. How many hot dogs are you putting down? Joey Chestnut, for reference, in was it like 15 minutes, 10 minutes? 15 minutes, we'll say, put down 66 dogs this weekend.
Are they beef hot dogs, chicken hot, like regular hot dogs?
They're,
What's the length of the hot
regular
dog?
Nathan's famous, like, glizzy in a bun.
Okay.
Have you ever watched Joey Chestnut?
No.
You
I don't
need to
know who
watch
that
it.
is.
It's a
I don't even know who Joey Chestnut
There's
is.
been so many moments this summer. I'm like, I'm going to have to culturally educate Parker over here.
Did you watch it live?
Oh, I watch it every 4th of July.
Is he like a competitive like,
He's
eater?
hot dog
He's
eater.
not just
Oh, wow.
a competitive
He's
eater.
the American.
eater.
15,
eater.
16 years? 8? No, wait. Was this his 19th?
This was his 18th
18th,
time winning the
okay.
competition.
Like
He's a dog.
I about
no
gag
offense.
every time watching it.
Oh, yeah.
But I watched 2 years ago, a protester came up in front of him as he was competing, and
Yeah.
he like body slammed
Yeah.
him and like still
Stiff
won.
arm, dog in the other hand, putting him down. He soaks him in water.
It's a big thing.
disgusting, but it's really awesome.
Always on ESPN.
How many hot dogs? How many hot dogs could you put down? We'll give you an hour.
An hour.
An hour? Oh,
to put
gosh.
down as many dogs as you want to, but they've all got to stay down. That's the thing.
Oh, I think in an hour. Like if I can take my time in an hour, just a regular hot dog. If I got ketchup and water,
With a bun and everything.
with a
too.
bun,
Yeah.
regular hot dog, ketchup, water. I think I could put down easily 45 plus.
Wow.
I think, and with an hour,
I can respect that.
I
I
would-
thought you were going to say some diabolical
no.
100.
I think. I don't know. I've been at like a cookout before, and I've put down 12 hot dogs without even thinking about it. So I don't.
I believe that. Yeah.
I'm a big guy. I mean,
His face when you said that was so funny.
I was asking this to you students all weekend long,
Oh,
and
really?
just hearing their answers was so funny.
300 or so.
Yeah. It was some diabolical number.
Dude, if I have an hour, so I'm a little bit different. I'm allergic to bread, so I can't have the bun. But let's say I could have the bun. I would
I
go.
forgot.
Yeah, I'm a loser. I
I
would
beat you up.
I literally in an hour, I'd probably go like 25.
Yeah.
Like, and
That's
even
a-
that. Would
That's
be
about where I was at.
really-
That's the hard part, is thinking through. It's so funny. I love it, and I love that you watch it too. I watch it every year. I turned it on actually in the middle of it, which I was a little bit upset by. I thought it started at 12, and I was like, okay, well, I'll watch the pre-show, because the guy who introduces him is like, I'm not even going to try and do it, because I can't do it justice.
Before we
but-
drive away from that parking lot, we are walking.
How long did it take this guy to eat his 60 whatever hot dogs?
15.
It was a 15 minute. I think it was 15 minutes.
Oh, if he can put down 60 in 15 minutes, then I can definitely get 45.
You need to
in an
watch
hour.
the video of him putting them down, and I feel like
Is
your
it gross?
perspective-
Is
it's-
he's like covered in like hot dog juice and
Yeah, I mean he's like it was like. Consider this though too. His
Is he big?
record. No, he's not. He's not massive. So there's so many different. He's an athlete. Let me tell you, you have to be in good shape because your body will naturally, like if you're in better shape, your metabolism is a little bit better. So he's still in like decent shape. I mean, he's got a dad bod. Like he's not like out here rocking the six pack necessarily. But he was at like, they have a little counter on there too. It's like he was like 7.3 dogs per minute is what they had. ESPN2 had all the graphics on it.
It's a big deal.
The dogator.
But
Dongator.
he's putting them down. Like he's just like smashing them in.
Wow.
There's probably whole hot dogs in them. Like he's not even eating them. He's just sliding them.
They have a lemonade.
I don't even want to think about
lemonade drinking competition too.
Yeah.
A guy drinks a gallon of lemonade.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen, what's his name? Is his name Dr. Chugs or something like that?
Badlands Chugs?
Badlands
Yeah,
Chugs, yes.
bro.
Oh my gosh. Do you know who that is?
I do.
Oh my god.
He's a monster, and then he like burps afterwards. It's so funny.
I saw this year some guy tried to do it, and he just kept throwing up the lemonade, and it was in like different spurts, and the crowd would like boo, and then they'd wait, and he'd throw up again, they'd boo again.
That's so gross.
Oh man, that's so funny. I think I'm in the 25 range personally. I think it's that's quite a feat to put down 66. His record is 72, I think, is what it is. So
15 minutes, 72.
it was 93 degrees out there, and he was sweating. It's so funny because they showed all the temperatures from the previous competitions too. ESPN does such a good job with this.
They got the stats.
There's like people in the crowd with the hot dog hats on too. It's so good, man. There used to be a guy. His last name's Stoney. I can't think of his name. But he did like Powerade or like it was like some red drink. He just like his whole face was red afterwards. That like all of the Gatorade or whatever he was drinking just gets all over him. It's so gross, but it's so cool. They're athletes too. With that, that's all the time that we got today. So thank you for playing along with my hypothetical situation here. Yeah, thank you for sharing a little bit of your stories. I really appreciate your time and your impact in this area. We're so grateful for just folks like you that we get to partner with and do ministry with, because we are doing ministry with you. We're serving North Little Rock and the greater Central Arkansas area and the students here, and we love them to death, and we want to see them come to Jesus. So thank you guys for coming on. Really
you for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening. And we'll be back next week with another great episode. We've got a special guest on. I'm super excited for that episode too. But thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Huddle, the Central Arkansas FCA podcast, where faith meets competition. We'll see you next week.
Boom.